So my problem with the class leveling system in Ghost Recon Breakpoint is how the system provides the player with generic tasks to fill up playtime for each class. A system where we complete mindless tasks like kill 3 enemies with C4 and 1 with a mine in 3 seconds, kill 20 people in a random location without being seen, and at face value, they provide something for the players to do, but as a developer, one has to wonder if they truly recognize that they have a system in place in which players can be guided down a linear path to accomplish goals. They have a system in which they are able to provide each class its own story. Let me explain. Now, I'm not thinking of audio-driven narratives like Episode 3 or Amber Sky, but this can be as simple as notifying the player in the same manner, just with text. Something they can pin, just like the class system now, with an addition of perhaps adding intel notifications for a bit more variety. Something simple for the devs to create without the overhead of audio recording with actors in every language. Information that you can pin and some intel here and there would suffice. You could create this class leveling system like a chaining of faction missions together. Take 2 or 3 provinces, depending on how many tasks are being created. There were 10 at first, but now there's 20. And set out a path with a small and simple story for the player to go through, almost like connecting faction missions together alongside these class tasks, but with a little sugar on top, the sugar being a narrative thrown together to make it seem like the player is on a path and has to utilize their class tools and abilities to complete their objectives. Each class would accomplish specific objectives according to 1. How that class plays, or more specifically, how that class could and should be played, and 2. What special abilities and class tools the class has. For example, class rank 1, let us say, has 2 objectives. Objective 1, location X in province Y. It sits at a critical location for us to sneak medical supplies through the province. Eliminate all enemies at province Y. You've literally just gave a reason for a player to do the same task, but with a simple narrative creation, it becomes a bit more personal. It engages the player on a different level. The medical supplies or objective is irrelevant, as long as it's a cohesive narrative for the mission and short class story. Objective 2. It seems the leadership in Province X has been consolidated by a specific commander who can be found at location Z. Find and eliminate this commander. Now, all classes would get the same type of mission structures, as the game engine seems it could only do so much at this point, or the developers are only willing to create so much at this point. Either way, stealth missions, assassinate missions, hacking missions, stealing missions, rescue missions, mission structures similar to what we see in the game, but more specifically in Episode 3 and Amber Sky. Take the player down a path and end it with a punctuation, a boss fight of some sorts, capture HVT, assassinate a quote-unquote boss, but instead of the player needing 20 kills at location X and 3 stealth kills with headshots at random, and all the things we see within the class leveling system now, it would be more objective based towards a story, while sprinkling in these types of random objectives we see now. So for class examples, the Echelon and Panther class would get more types of stealth missions, missions like infiltration and hack for intel, leading you to assassinate and possibly capture an HVT, utilizing the shock pistol for the Echelon class to shut down alarm drones at specific locations. All of these can be objectives that replace the generic ones we see now. Panther missions could also have stealth missions for infiltrating and include more types of drone disarming activities, like shutting down turrets and mortars, eventually leading to fighting behemoths and drones, etc. Mortars at location X and Y are a risk to our scouts. Deactivate the mortars without being seen. The behemoths at location X is a detriment to the province. You're our only hope at eliminating it. This type of structure provides the player to not only get a feel for the class from the start, but can also help them connect more with the class in a role-playing sense. The Assault class could get the elimination type of missions. Simple rock 'em, sock 'em, clean out areas while also having to utilize their gas for specific kills. Ubisoft loves having spawning enemies during missions. Create one of those and tell the player they have to utilize their adrenaline rush. The engineer class could have to utilize their drone ammo for booby traps and blowing up enemies, attacking enemies with their drone. The Pathfinder should have to recon and utilize each tool in the drone kit, all while being led down a path telling a small, simple story as to why the player needs to help and how their class abilities are to be utilized. The Sharpshooter would have a focus on recon and taking out specific enemies at a distance while finding specific enemies for assassination missions and having to deal with them at a certain distance, or assassinating them while in a building utilizing their class ability. The Medic class can get special missions where they need to rescue rebels who are being held captive, and at a point during the escape, the rebel will get injured, thus needing the medic to utilize their ability. But overall, you get the point. You take the style of faction missions, take into account each class and their ability and class tools, take the class system, write a small linear story that is 10 or 20 tasks long, and you have a class leveling system that, in my opinion, works very well for a Ghost Recon game. Tell a story for each class and ensure the player is utilizing the class tools and abilities while they move through the story. Remove the generic do this X amount of times and do that Y amount of times with no rhyme or reason other than to provide the player with things to do in-game. What you want to do is immerse your players in specific scenarios within the Ghost Recon world. You give them the opportunity to connect not only with the world and what goes on within it, but you allow them to connect with the class they are playing, especially within a small story-driven narrative. So, what do you think? Let me know in the comments if you would change how the class leveling system works. What would you do? How would you create a system like this to work in Ghost Recon? Are you fine with how the system works now? Or would you want to change it up? Tell me down below, and like always, we'll discuss it. If you enjoyed this video, consider joining the Discord, where like-minded gamers like yourself come together to discuss all types of things relevant to not only Ghost Recon, but all types of games. That's all for now, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone have a great day, and I will see you all in the next video. Alright guys, peace.